When the spring of inspiration dries up, some artists want to call it quits. Composer Adrian Carr nearly left his music career behind. The Juilliard School graduate quit New York City and thought he'd devote his professional life to working as a recording engineer in Champlain, New York. But he says the clean air of the Adirondacks cleared his head, allowing new inspiration to flow in. This composer nearly stopped writing music.
I just remember telling everybody I was retired.
Composer Adrian Carr shut the lid on his piano after a farewell concert at Carnegie Hall. He decided to leave New York City and music behind him.
I reached a dead end in my music at that time. I reached a point where I guess you could call it burnout. It was just a point where I really didn't have anything to say at that point.
Instead of playing music, Carr says he was happier hiking and biking around northern New York and Quebec, near the Canadian border.
In 2002, I came up here to the Adirondacks to go hiking for the first time. Recommendation of a friend. The mountains are so incredible, and it was just a magical experience for me. My impression was, wow, I was really drawn to the area after that.
Another draw to the area was a French-Canadian woman he met while hiking.
That was the beginning of a relationship that was quite incredible. I mean, this woman became my wife.
The couple decided to live up north, away from Manhattan and Carr's music career. Carr says the sorrows of his life in the city had previously motivated his musical creativity, and he just wasn't unhappy among the natural wonders of the Adirondacks.
Well, if you're not unhappy, the unhappy artist, what is left to put into your music?
But after 2 years of enjoying the outdoors, he missed the audience for his creative voice.
The only answer that came back to me was to go back to music.
Instead of a sorrowful tune, the North Country awakened joy.
The landscape is beautiful up here. It's precious. It's like relatively untouched. And so that alone is such inspiration for my music.
His new CD features a piece called Within the Garden of Imagination.
Within the Garden of Imagination is about the beginnings of journeys, and for me it was the beginning of my journey to the North Country. I composed Within the Garden of Imagination to express the serendipity nature of life, to express that everything is possible. And that's how I met my wife, coming out on a hiking trail. It was just a complete act of serendipity. I play the piece, I try to go for the range of experience and soft and loud and the different turns around the corner. And I try to bring out all the nuances of the trail. Whether it's a mud hole, or whether it's a beautiful clearing, or whether it's plants that I haven't seen before, or whether it's a dark forest, it's all good. It's all beautiful. At the heart of the bicycle song, there's a certain joy about being on a bicycle that I find. The piece expresses really the hills and valleys. There's ups and there's downs. You're never on level land when you're riding a bicycle. It's either you're going up or you're going down, and I think the piece kind of represents, literally it represents, because you have passages that go up and passages that come down. And so you're just flowing with the landscape. Music and bike riding, for me, are one and the same. There's loud parts, there's soft parts, there's easy parts, there's difficult parts. Music is like a bike journey.
This piece, titled From the Abandoned Piano, recalls a moment a few years ago when Carr thought he'd abandoned music. His eye fell upon a discarded instrument outside Brio's Pizzeria in Phoenicia, New York, a piano he'd played in the 7th grade.
I just finished a couple days of hiking in the Catskills with my friend Tom and my wife, and we were just coming out from Brio's, and this piano was sitting by the dumpster. And when I went over and took a closer look, I realized that I knew this piano. This piano had my initials carved in it. And so it was maybe the beginning of a sign to lead me back to music, to start thinking about doing music again.
Now he's playing for a new group of fans, in places including the North Country Cultural Center for the Arts in Plattsburgh, New York.
When he plays this music, it just seems to move through my body, through my ears, and there's a connection.
I don't think I've ever listened to piano playing that made me feel so deeply.
With a new enthusiasm for Northern New York and a wife with ties across the border in Quebec, Carr felt compelled to write a piece addressing life on both sides of the border.
I had ridden down from Montreal on my bike to the border, and I took the local routes, so it's 217 down from Quebec, and I came to the abandoned border crossing. I was so tempted to just cross the border. It just seemed like such a small, insignificant line, and yet there's a fence up there and it says, you know, you're not allowed to cross here. And I was just sat at the border for maybe 10-15 minutes, just looking across and seeing one side being Canada, the other side being the United States. The one thing is, when you live up here, it's inevitable to have ties on both sides of the border. It's just too close, and an artificial border does not separate families or people.
Carr says he's grateful to now be surrounded and inspired by natural beauty, enlivening a new musical energy that should last for years to come.
Music is all around, whether we're listening for it or not. I mean, whether I'm playing the piano or whether you're in a forest listening to the hawk, it's all around us. You know, music is part of the vibration of life, and it's critical. It's like essential for life.
Adrian Carr performs at venues in the North Country and in Quebec. You may learn more about this composer and his CD, Finding Charlotte, at adriancarpiano.com.